following the flow. And I guess the question is, do we know where the voluntary sector is going, the direction and flow of the sector, when we're thinking about co-production, service user involvement, all of those sort of terms? And if the answer is no, then perhaps you want to stick around to find out, to inform your thinking and decision making. And if you do know for sure, we'll stick around to at the end anyway, because we might have a couple of gifts to offer out for you to support you in your work. So I've been doing co-production for about 12 years, and some might even argue or say that I'm a pioneer in the field, a leader. Others might argue otherwise. But regardless, these are my observations, and they're there to help you and inform your decision making. So I started co-production about 12 years ago, or my journey started in co-production about 12 years ago, and I met a wonderful guy called Roger Batt. He was the new lead at the local Salvation Army Citadel. He approached me with his team and said, look, we want to do something to help local homeless, or people who are homeless locally. So we started with a blank piece of paper, everyone being able to contribute their knowledge and the resource that they had available, and together we developed as Day Centre. It's an amazing centre with everything you could think of that someone who is like maybe destitute, struggling, or sat out there on the margins of society, suffering from multiple social disadvantage, whatever they might need, it was there. When we set up the well, as it is called, we didn't have a concept or any ideas of what co-production is, or that word or term co-production, especially as in the way that it's used today. We were just a group of amazing people coming from a place of love and compassion who wanted to pool our assets and create something that had a positive intent, that had a positive framework to work within, and offered up support to those who might need it. When we approached it, we all took part in its development on an equal footing. There was no hierarchy, just equally great people with gifts to offer up. So that was back in 2010, and the well is still going strong today. But back then I was very active in trying to raise the voices of my community, the community that I had come from, those who'd suffered from combinations of homelessness, mental illness, addictions, caught up in the criminal justice system, victims of abuse and domestic violence. I had never, in all the stuff I was doing, I'd never heard of that term co-production. What I had seen too often was failed attempts at service user involvement. But if we fast forward today, the landscape is very, very different. It's changed. Although co-production in a term can be a bit of a buzzword or tool for profit, it is very much on the agenda. It's out there. And when I look around my world, there are some fantastic examples of co-production, and more importantly, examples of charity or places of charities and places where the system are listening to and valuing the voices of those that they're there to support, their beneficiaries, which I think is fantastic. But we can drill down a little bit deeper, because there is evidence to back up. Yes, if you're saying co-production is going, where is the evidence? Well, firstly, we can look around at those different examples. There is Stoke, you've got the Expert Citizens. In Nottingham, they're doing some amazing work. In Blackpool, the Changing Futures and Adder projects. You've got Luton Homelessness Partnership. They're all great projects who've created so much change over time by doing co-production. I know I'm very proud to have been played a little part in most of those projects, and there are lots out there, some amazing projects. I'm also, by the way, proud to support and work with lots of the stuff, the groups and projects that we're involved in at the moment. Westminster City Council's Changing Futures, co-production in day centres, the work that we're doing around informing lots of policy with lots of lived experience voices. I'm proud of all of that stuff that we're doing, that's for sure. So there's that. Secondly, if I think about grant providers, so it appears to me that, or appeared to me back in the day, that Lankelly Chase the Lankelly Chase Foundation were the only one leading on systems change and supporting those of us with lived experience to be able to create that change from the bottom up. Now they're just one amongst many grant providers that are particularly keen or interested in projects that are focusing on co-production or have lived experience at the heart of their work. There are lots of grant providers who want that now if you're attempting to get funding from them. They want evidence that they're doing it too. But it doesn't just stop there. So the message of co-production and service user involvement is coming down slowly but surely from a national policy level. So Dulwich Department of Levelling Up Housing Communities have had co-production on and service user involvement in some of their tender documents pre-pandemic. The Minister for Rough Sleeping and Housing had a small group of people with lived experience support his work just prior to the last financial review. And Dulwich have just closed a tender to set up their own lived experience group to inform the work that they're doing. They're embracing that lived experience and bringing it into their work, which is really fantastic. And from the work that we do, we know that, yes, the DWP has recently been found very, very guilty of listening to their customers so that they can improve the work that they do. I'm sure that they are going to say that they've always been listening. I guess the difference is now we have the evidence, we have the proof that we know that they have. So good on the DWP for that, informing their national policy work. So if we take all that to be true, and it is, there's only one direction for me that the voluntary sector and systems are flowing, and that is towards more and more co-production, more and more service user involvement, whatever terms that you want to use. And I guess for organisations and projects that don't involve their beneficiaries in any way, either any service user involvement or in co-production, they're only left with one real choice. And the choice is to start doing it. I guess the question that they might have is the when. And I guess that the longer that they leave it, the further behind they will fall behind everyone else, and the less successful that they're going to be in their bid writing and getting funding in for their organisation. And I guess that in turn means a bigger risk for, or potentially a bigger risk for the organisation, or risk that they're putting upon the organisation, that's for sure. So if you're watching this and your organisation isn't involved in, or doesn't have like strong co-production or strong service user involvement, strong beneficiaries involved in your charities, and that could be all the way from the top at board level all the way down. And I'm not saying rush into doing everything right away, but you probably want to think about or start mapping out your co-production and service user involvement journey. Over at Expert Link, we're revamping our website, and on it there's going to be a whole bunch of resources and opportunities that are available for you to use. So I'd love you to be able to use those resources. A lot of them are free, so make sure that you're signed up to the newsletter so you don't miss them. That's enough from me. The direction of flow is only one way.
Don't give up.
Lived experience and co-production.
Don't give up.
I love you all. Until
Don't
next
give
time,
up.
stay safe.
Don't give up. No matter what.